number 8, plan the design of your meetings. We have many different places where we may hold a meeting. We have conference rooms, we have our offices, we have other places that might, coffee shops, whatever it may be. And so the problem is when we start to go outside of very controlled spaces, we start to have difficulty with the context with which we're having to hold a meeting. So for example, a couple of years ago, I was doing some consulting work related to safety for rail workers. And I was out with some of the workers on location, which is a fascinating thing. And if you ever have the opportunity to do that, I think if you have not already, it's something that you should, maybe look into, because trains are fun, right? Anyway, so I'm out there with them, and we're getting ready to have a meeting, and what I would consider an important meeting. We're talking about safety. And as we're gathering together, it's a relatively quiet space. We're outdoors. It seems pretty comfortable and that sort of thing. And we're next to the railroad tracks. So we're about, 5 minutes into this meeting, which is fine. And what do you think happens? A train goes by, right? And trains, if you've ever been around them, are not very quiet. And so train goes by, and depending, in this case, it wasn't that long of a train, so it didn't derail us for very long. But the truth is, if it had been a longer train, because some trains are really long, if it had been a 10-minute train, a 20-minute train, an hour-long train, we could have had no way of getting back to what we were trying to accomplish in that meeting, and more than likely, that would have been the end of the meeting, the train going by. And so, although your settings are not likely to include that in many cases, you have to be mindful about where you are. What is the environment you're in? And to design your space to accommodate the challenges that the context might introduce to you. And so that's really what we're talking about. Now, the problem is when we have to be mindful and plan where we're going to meet and how we're going to meet in order for us to have a successful meeting. So you might think, what does science say about that? What has science done about the trains? Well, what science has done is there's a lot of really good researchers in the areas of ergonomics and human factors, looking at how much space does a person need to do certain things? What's the most comfortable chair? What's the best design of a table? What's the best design of a room? All these sorts of things have been discussed and studied and mapped out and worked on for many, many years. And the conclusion is space matters. It really, really matters. That's why we spend so much money on rooms like the one you see in this picture. Because the goal is to put people as comfortable and as at ease as possible to allow for what we're trying to accomplish, which is to collaboratively make a decision or to brainstorm or whatever the purpose may be for our meeting. We don't want the meeting environment to be the thing that derails us, because we know that Joe's probably going to be the one that does it. He's going to be the one that gets us into the drift, hopefully not the fact that the chairs are uncomfortable or the room doesn't have proper lighting or the technology is not working today or ever, okay? And so distractions are a problem. They're always a problem. Some of them we can control and deal with. Some of them we are harder to control and harder to deal with. And so what the science basically says is, to the degree that you possibly can, you should control the problems, okay? You should control the distractions by proactively designing the situation, the context, and how you're going to meet. Get the lighting figured out, get the seating figured out, get the technology figured out, get the other things that we've already talked about in terms of design, like having a purpose and so forth, having the right people in the room, being very mindful about all of those things can reduce distractions and enable a more effective meeting.